the younger generations of PBE, right? So a lot of these participants are coming from batch 2019. So how far is that from you, Mas Wisnu and Mas Leo? So it's definitely very far from me or Butri or Burina, but they come from 2019. Some of them are coming from 2020, so, and others come from 2021. So there will be a lot of, I'm sure there will be a lot of interesting questions later from the participants, but the point of this activity is to give them some insights, give them some perspectives on what we can do once we graduate from PBE. And we get to see these two remarkable keynote speakers, Mas Leo and Mas Wisnu, and they are one of the prominent students back in the days in PBE, back in the days in 2008 and 2009, right? Okay, without further ado, we would like to start from the very first part of our activity, which is a welcoming speech from the chairperson of the English Education Study Program, which is Ibu Veronica Tri Prihatmini. Ibu Tri, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Ibu Mita. Well, again, good afternoon, evening, good evening, Mas Leo, and good morning, Mas Wisnu. So we are very happy to have you here. And I should also firstly welcome everyone here, and especially also Burina for organizing this activity, and Bumita for becoming the master of ceremony for this program. And dear students from batch 2000 and I think 20, 21, 19, and even 18. We expect everyone to come and join the Zoom meeting at the moment. Well, dear students, firstly, I would like to talk to the students first. Upward mobility is annual programs in BBI, and we usually have at least 3 times in a year to invite the TBI alumni who have got lots of experiences both in the home country and also there abroad, in order to give you insights, in order to help you to flourish your dreams, which one day might also be your career and life path. Yeah. So we present you with very important people here at the moment. We have Mas Leo from there, the real down under, because in Victoria, right, real down under, and we can see that Mas Leo seems like a real Australian now, with the accent of very, very Australian and British accent. Okay, and you can learn a lot, can make him a model for your, your speech, your pronunciation. And Mas Wisnu is there, I would say up west, or probably also north, right? From and this is still very early in the month. He was a student and also a student staff at the at the Lembaga Bahasa, and also as an instructor at the Lembaga Bahasa. And now we are very, very proud of both of you, Mas Leo and Mas Wisnu. And I think I will not talk too much. I will not take the precious time because we have both of you here to share with the students and everyone from all batches, all students. Again, you are very lucky to have Mas Leo and Mas Wisnu here. Learn a lot from them. You can also be like them one day. Just wait for your turn. Okay, Bumita, I think that's enough. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Tri, for the warm welcome for both of the keynote speakers for today. But Desi, could you share the screen about?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, thank you. So this is not just you obtaining things like knowledge, but we do have something for you. So later on, after each speaker has done their presentation, then there will be question and answer. But it's not you asking the question, but the speaker will give you one question and they can choose any one of you. Probably they can mention the name. And if you can answer the question correctly, then you will get a 50K e-money top up. Okay. Now these are only for 2 participants. So Mas Visnu and Mas Leo, you can just scroll up and down on the participant section and then just choose one of the names. And if he or she can answer your question directly, then he or she will definitely get the 50K e-money top up. Okay. All right, please go to the next slide, Desi. Now, we do also have this as the higher level. So it's if you guys have Instagram account, please make use of the Instagram account. And if you do this, like post an Instagram story or reel saying something about the upward mobility webinar, then you make it as interesting as possible and mention PBI Sanata Dharma and post it before 7 p.m. tonight. Then you will win 100K e-money top up. Okay, so there are 2 things that you can do: answer the question, or if you don't, if you're not chosen, then you can try this. Go to your Instagram account, make a story, and talk about this activity for today. You can, do a selfie or whatever that you need to do so that you can have this prize. So there will be 2 lucky winners that will be chosen. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. Now for the exit ticket, the admin will share the link later, not now. It's going to be a bit later, almost the end of the activity, so that you will be focused on listening to the speakers and then answer the question and be active in the question and answer session. And then the exit ticket will be available for you and you will receive your e-certificate, but this exit ticket will only be available until 6 p.m. Am I correct, Purina? Yes? Okay, so until 6 p.m. only. Okay, so just make sure that you click that later. All right, now that's all for the announcement. I will repeat this announcement later so that you won't forget, but to make time short, let us go to the main activity. We have the first speaker will be Mas Leo, right? Or Mas Visnu, who wants to go first?
I think I'm scheduled for the first one.
Okay.
I mean, I don't mind going second, but I think I'm scheduled to go with the first one.
Okay, yeah. So Mas Leo will start the speech, and then he will talk a lot about his experiences down under in Australia. But let me read just a little bit about Mas Leo. So Mas Leo graduated from PBI Sanata Dharma University in 2014. And after working in the area of teaching and curriculum development of Indonesian as foreign language, he pursued his Master of Science degree at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, and he majored in language teaching. And afterwards, for the past 5 years, he's been working in Australia as a classroom teacher of science and Indonesian second language at a Victorian government school. So he has been going back and forth Australia and Jogja, or probably he went to Scotland again. I don't know, maybe he will share that to you later. But he does have a lot of experiences related to language teaching abroad, okay? Now, Mas Leo, please feel free to make use of the time. It's going to be very flexible, so you will have as much time as possible, okay? All right, Mas Leo, the screen is yours. And everyone, please enjoy the speech.
Thank you, Bhumita, for the opportunity. Thank you, Putri, for the opportunity as well. Hello, everyone. My name is Leo Kusuma, and I'm very lucky that I got the chance to talk in front of you to share about my experience, and especially talking about what it's like to teach languages overseas, especially in Australia. So I'll be focusing a lot on my experience. So don't take it as that it's going to be like that when you, for example, decided to come down under, but it's going to be based on my experience mainly. So I'm going to share my screen and yeah, we'll start from there. Yeah, just gonna, okay. All right. Okay, so I'm choosing, because I love trains so much, so I'm choosing the theme as trains. So we're gonna have a look into what we're going to do. Okay, so as you can see there, this is the upper mobility line, stopping all station to your story, because the end of it is about you. It's not about me. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna do acknowledgement of country, and then I'm gonna talk about myself first, and then what it's like to migrate overseas, and then what it's like to work in Australia, my PBI story, and obviously the last one is your story. But before we begin, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which I am presenting from today, the Bunwarang people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respect to elders past and present. And this is about me. So again, as Bhumita has already mentioned, so I did my bachelor's degree from Sanata Dharma. It took quite long for me to finish, but I managed to finish at the end, because I was also busy working full time at Realia, so that's why it took me a while to finish it. But so don't do that, don't copy that part. So make sure you finish on time so that you don't actually waste 2 years of your time like me. And then in 2015, I decided to pursue a master's degree. I went to Scotland, the University of Edinburgh, and then I decided to do language teaching. And that's where I learned a lot more about what language teaching is like and what applied linguistics is like, because this is going to be a discussion later, but one of the subjects that I love when I was in PB is the linguistic ones. And then I just decided that I still like teaching, but I also want to know more about language. And this is what I decided. And then when I came to Australia, I decided to do a graduate certificate. So that's basically just a semester program, or you can take it as a part-time program. I did it with University of Southern Queensland. I did science for middle school teachers, and that's one of the reasons why I became a science teacher as well at Trafalgar High School. And when I was in Jogja, before I went to Edinburgh, I worked as the curriculum developer at Realia Language and Culture Center, Yogyakarta. And Burina was actually one of my colleagues. So, and then we've been working together since, and it's actually great to see her again and being successful. And then after I finished my degree in Scotland, I applied for a job in Australia at Trafalgar High School. I didn't expect that I would actually get the job, but I did. And they sponsored me to come over here, and I started the profession by being the Indonesian teacher at Trafalgar High School. And then a year later, they asked me to be the head of languages department at Trafalgar High School. And then I've been the head of department since. All right, so that's all about me, my profile. We're still going to talk about myself, but this is what we're going to talk about now. So we're talking about migrating overseas. So because the topic is, sorry, the theme is trains. I'm using carriages there. Carriage 1 is Indonesians in Australia. Carriage 2 is demography and immigration. Carriage 3 is my story of moving overseas. So when we're talking about Indonesians in Australia, there are actually many Indonesians in Australia. So I'm not the only one. There are tens of thousands other Indonesians in Australia. And then according to 2021 census, there are 92,000 Indonesian born people. So people who were born in Indonesia and then they now live in Australia. But it only makes up about 0.4% of the total population. And 1 in 5 are students. So a lot of the Indonesians who live here, they mostly come here for university, because Australia is one of the top destinations for Indonesians to go for study overseas. And 1 in 3, so they live in New South Wales and Victoria, just like myself. I live in Victoria. And 36 is the median age, so it's actually pretty young. So that the Indonesians in Australia, they're actually pretty young, and 44%, so almost half of them have bachelor degrees. So once you finish your BBA degree, that's your chance there. So you'll probably be one of those 44%, and then half of them will work full time. And then 10% work as professionals. There are other professions that Indonesians in Australia do, but about 10% of them, they work as professionals. And talking about demographics of Australia, if you think of Australia, well, this is what I thought when I was growing up, that Australia is a very like the majority of a population would be Caucasian. But no, not really. Australia is a very multicultural society, especially if you live in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and all of the big cities. It's very multicultural. So, for example, if I want Greek food, I can go to Oakley, which is 20 minutes away from me. If I want Vietnamese food, there's this suburb called Springvale, where majority of the population there, they're Vietnamese. And if I want Indonesian food, there's this ayam penyet place that's not far from where I live. So it is very multicultural. So it is a great place to live. Multiculturalism is being embraced by a lot of the people in Australia. So that's actually one of the strong points in Australia. And what it's like, so this is my story of migrating overseas. So around 2001, this is the first time that I learned English. So I was in grade 6. And at that time, I thought that English is actually such a great subject. I loved it, even though I could only count from 1 to 10 and then spell the alphabets. And I think it was the first ever song that I learned was Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I don't actually remember the lyrics anymore now, but it's like that. I do remember that it's actually the first song that I learned. And then in 2005, I was in year 10 and I loved English, and I joined the debating club in high school, even though I probably wasn't that great, but that was one of the ways for me to practice more of English. And I did pretty well in English. Not so much for the other subjects, but English and language is generally the ones that I have strong attitude towards, because I can do them, because I like them. And then in 2008, I chose to study at PBI. There's not many reasons why I chose PBI, other than my grandmother told me that you should probably try to enroll at Sanata Dharma at the Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris program. And I did. I followed her suggestion, because I love English, and I don't know anywhere else that would be as good as PBI. So that's what I did. And then around 2009, I do remember I took this course called book reports. I think it's still the same for right now. So the first book that I picked was Tom Sawyer, and I really liked that book, and that was one of the maybe the first time that I started to realize, I actually kind of want to experience living overseas. Well, at that time, America would probably be my beacon. I've never been to America up until this point, but which probably, I don't know, I'm not rushing to go, but America was my beacon at that time, and I really wanted to go. I really wanted to experience what Tom Sawyer experienced at that time. And then 2014, when I started working at Realia in 2011, but I started to realize this in 2014. So I've met so many people from different countries because a lot of the clients of Realia, they came to Indonesia to work here, to learn Indonesian. They came from a lot of different parts of the world, and then they shared this story, and I really wanted to do the same thing. So I realized that I should probably start looking for opportunities to live overseas. And in 2015, I was pretty lucky that I got the scholarship to study in Edinburgh. And it was really cool, literally as well. The weather's really cold. And I really enjoyed my experience there because it just opened my mind. I know I met a lot of people from different countries when I was working at Realia, but to be there, learning from the experts, to meet people from all over the world, it was just amazing experience. So I wanted to have more of this. So I was pretty lucky that in 2017 I got a job in Australia, and I really loved it working here because everyone was really supportive. Again, this is my experience. Not everyone would probably have the same experience, but I really love working here. I miss Indonesia a lot sometimes, but I definitely can get used to doing this, what I'm doing now. But the moral of the story is that I was a very curious person, because if I want to do this, I wonder what I should do. And that actually drove me to research Australia. What steps should I actually take if I want to study in Scotland? What step should I take, and how can I get there without having to spend that much money? But yeah, all of those things is one of the things that drove me into this. And then obviously I did set goals. I'm not really good in this, but I feel like this is a very valuable thing, because if I need to achieve something, I will need to set goals, realistic goals within realistic time frame. So, for example, like when I was applying for uni in Scotland, all right, so I wanted to do this one, and within this time frame, and within this time frame, these are the steps that I'm going to take. I did it really well at that time. Not saying that I do it well all the time. Sometimes I slack, but goal setting is actually a very good thing. And then determination is probably one thing that is really good. It was not easy for me to got into university in Scotland. It was not easy for me to got into this point where I am now, but I can't just drop it here. Like I've already started it, like might as well just keep going, even though it's slowly. But you know, it's moving forward. Sometimes you don't say I didn't really say that I moved forward, but looking back, I actually did. And then another thing that I really value is at that time was the willingness to learn, because if I don't know things, I should probably learn more. One of the reasons why I decided to take science course and then to teach science is because yes, teaching Indonesian is great, but I also want variety. And then that variety happened to be science. And then I wanted to know science more because when I was growing up, I actually liked science. So I kind of, but I didn't really remember much. But I want to do this, and I want to be able to teach science in high school. So, okay, I probably need to learn more. And then adaptability, that's a very important thing because when you're moving overseas, the culture is very different. It's completely different. And sometimes you can find something that is very similar to home, but a lot of the time you find it's different. And then there are two ways that you will view that. Either you love it or you hate it. And then if you love it, that's great. But if you hate it, what can you do? So adaptability was a very important part of my story when I moved overseas. And yeah, all of these five is probably the top five of the things that helped me to reach where I am now. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about working in Australia. I'm going to talk about the working culture first, and then after that, I'm going to talk about teaching profession. So for those, because I mean, pendidikan bahasa Inggris, the focus is a lot of is pendidikan and bahasa Inggris. So I want to talk about teaching profession, and that's also the only profession that I've been working in Australia. So I can talk a fair bit about that. And then I'm going to talk about applying for a job and then what sort of skills that employers might be looking at. And then how would you get into the job market, especially in Australia. Again, as I mentioned before, this is my experience and this is the Australian context. So it might be different if you want to, for example, you want to go to the US, or it might be different if you want to go to Singapore or the UK and so on. But the working culture in Australia, I would say, and this is according to my experience, is more relaxed and less formal. So I don't really call my boss or my lecturers by their surnames. I always call them by their first name. So my principal's name now, like the new principal, his name is Brett Pedlow. I don't call him Mr. Pedlow. I call him Brett, and then the previous principal who just retired at the end of last term, her name is Jane, and again I call her Jane, not Miss Mercy. And sometimes we would go to a pub after work, and when she retired, I was really heartbroken. I was really sad, and then we ended up hugging. And so it's more relaxed and usually less formal. And then again, because of it's more relaxed and less formal, so hierarchy is not really there. There's a less emphasis on hierarchy. So you still have to do reports to your supervisors. You still have to be responsible of your work, but you don't really see your supervisors as that you have to. I don't know how would you say the norm is not like how it is like in Indonesia. It's slightly different. You can still have a banter. You can still joke around about that, but again, the hierarchy is less. There's less emphasis on that. And then if you don't like it, you need to say it. So if you need to, and then you can voice your opinions. And hard yaka, that's an Australian slang, which means working hard. So Australians they work really hard, and then if they work full time, they work 38 hours a week. That's 7.6 hours a day for 5 days, and the adherence for that is actually pretty good. Well, some people do overtime, some people do unpaid overtime, well, like teachers. And then sick leave and annual leave. Generally, you have this many days of sick leave, unless you're a teacher or casual worker. And skill assessment this and skill assessment that. So every single profession you will usually need to be assessed. So in order to be a teacher, you need to have a teacher registration, and then in order to get that teacher registration, is the process is actually very long. And if you really want to have a look into that, you can have a look at ANZSCO. They have a very long list of it. And then KPI, that's key performance indicator. So that's how employers measure employees' performance. I don't know what you call it in Indonesia, but it's surely in every single country they have this. And then morning tea. So this is what I love about Australia, that morning tea is a thing, and then chatting to colleagues over morning tea is a good way to build a relationship with your colleagues. And also coffee. Yes, you can't live without coffee here. Sorry, and they're just everywhere, especially in Melbourne. We are snobs about our coffee. And then this is about teaching profession. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to talk about teacher registration. So in Victoria, the state where I live in, we will have to hold a teacher registration from this place called this organization called VIT, Victorian Institute of Teaching. And then you will need to follow their code of conducts and renew it every year. So if you don't have that, you can't actually be in the classroom. You can't even be in the schoolyard. So that's what you need to have. And in order to get that, you need to have a teaching degree, so Bachelor of Teaching or Bachelor of Education. So our S1 Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris actually qualifies as that. So or any undergraduate degree with Master of Teaching. So if you, none of you do that. But if you, for example, if someone has a engineering degree and then they want to be a teacher, they need to do a Master of Teaching that lasts for 2 years. And then in that program, there needs to be teaching placements, or we call it PPL, PBI. And this is the education system. So each state has its own education system and curriculum. And then the schools are split into government funded and private funded. And then in Victoria, primary school goes from prep. So prep is like TK besar to grade 6. And then high school is from year 7 to 12. And then after that, it's tertiary. And the teaching profession itself, what the students are like, the students are generally more critical. Not necessarily smarter, but they are encouraged to say what they think. So it's a bit different at least my experience when I was in high school in Indonesia. And sport, especially, not among all of these extracurricular activities, play an important role in school life. So they have houses. If you watch Harry Potter, they all have all of these houses. Every school has that here in Australia. And then data and information. So data is used to inform teaching and learning. So having the knowledge of data, having the knowledge of quantitative research would actually be beneficial in teaching. And now talking about different kind of data, but data privacy is taken seriously, and privacy in general is taken seriously. Like if you watch TV in Australia that is filming a school, a news channel, for example, they will not ever film their faces, because they're not allowed to. And professional learning. So teachers are given opportunities to improve their practices through professional development. So for example, I will need to attend this professional learnings related to teaching differentiation, and you do that every year, and then you have to do that for 20 hours a year. And then at school, they have professional learning communities. So that's basically a group within your department where you can improve the teaching practice. And then let's talk about applying for a job. So, sorry, I think I got the wrong one. Okay, I'll do this one first. So the platform where you can find jobs is usually you can go to LinkedIn, Jora, Indeed, or government websites. There's this thing called selection criteria. So you are expected to answer each key selection criteria. And then cover letter, you can also be expected to write a cover letter addressing the key selection criteria. So that's what KSC is. And then resume, obviously, and you need to give details about your experience, not just list of what professions you've done or your educational background. You need to outline what you do. Even at uni, for example, you need to outline what you've learned, what knowledge you've gained, and so on. And then the interview stage, there will be an interview panel, usually consisting of 3 panelists. And the salary packaging usually comes with pay and super. So super is, I don't know what you call it. It's like dana pensiun, something like that. This is an example of key selection criteria. So this key selection criteria, I took it from the for teaching job in Victoria. So as you can see there are 5 things that you need to address, and they all talk about the skills that they looking from the applicants. So in order to address that, I'm going to go back to the previous slide. So when you're addressing key selection criteria, you would use the CAR method. So C stands for context, A stands for action, R stands for result. So each of these selection criteria, you will need to address them using this. This is not the only method. There's so many other methods. There's stars, there's I don't know what the other ones, but context is, for example, so for example, in the selection criteria one, where you demonstrate knowledge of the related relevant curriculum, including the ability, blah, 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 you need to talk about the context of what you did, and then the action, so what you've done for that one, and then the results of that one. And that's actually what the employees will look at more, because they want to know what you've done. They want to know the examples of things that you've done. Because a cover letter, yes, cover letter, some companies, they usually ask for cover letter only, but even the cover letter will need to address this key selection criteria. So remember, especially in Australia, key selection criteria is something that is very crucial to address, something that is very crucial to look at. Now, I don't know if we have time to have a look, but I'm going to have a look at one. So I'm going to have a look at something else other than teaching. This one, for example, can you see the browser? No? Okay, sorry. Okay, there you go.
You need to reshare your screen again, Mas.
Yeah, can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so this is this thing called learning designer. Again, the job that you can get is not just teacher. You can be a learning designer at the university, for example. This is on LinkedIn. So the job is learning designer, and then these are the description of the the job. And then you need to, in order to apply, you need your covering letter or cover letter, and then you need responses to selection criteria that you can respond using CAR method, for example. It doesn't have to be CAR method. It can be STAR, it can be any other thing. And then your CV or resume. And then if you look into this, they will talk about the division. So your learning design team is what your team will do, and the role itself. So what if you are a successful candidate, this is what you will do. And then this is the to be successful in this role, you will have the following. And then if you look into that, these are all basically the selection criteria, unless stated otherwise. So if you go on LinkedIn, for example, you can just click apply, and then it will take you to the website. So that's how they do it. Okay, I'm just gonna go back to the right. What slide am I on? Okay, give me a second. Okay. All right, now that was about how you apply for a job in Australia. And then I'm just gonna quickly go through my PBE story about the subjects that I think would be useful, or the subject that helped me got this position and work in this position. And then I'm going to talk about the applicable skills in general. So these are the subjects that but I mean, again, as I mentioned before, I love linguistics, but these are probably the subjects that directly would help you in the teaching position, for example. So teaching methods, because you will need to know how to teach in general. And in this subject, I'll learn a lot about different teaching methods. But because before that, yes, my dad was a teacher, but all I know was that he teach in front of class. But I don't know anything else other than that. Learning design, because or instructional design, whatever it's called now. Because you need to be able to interpret the curriculum and then to apply into your own context, and then write down the learning outcomes that you want to get from the students. Learning assessment, because that's a package with the learning design, really, because you need to be able to assess your students' learning. And then psikologi pembelajaran, I looked it up, because, well, especially when you're teaching high school, I mean, you've been teenagers before, so you know what they behave, and then it's actually very important to do this to learn about their psychology. Research subjects, because again, when you in the teaching profession, you will not stop researching. And then I learned a lot from the research subjects. I actually love the research subjects. Reading subjects, because it's related to research subjects, because in order to research, you need to read. And then a lot of the skills that you learn in researching, you learn previously in reading. And then speaking subjects, because as a teacher, you will need to speak in front of everyone, really. So in order to make sure that you deliver the materials clearly, you need to know how to do that. And then speaking subjects have actually helped me so much to build the confidence as well. And then these are the applicable skills. I'll be very quick. And then the first one is research skills. In any profession, you will need to do research, any profession. Researching the right thing, however, is a different skill. So you need to be able to read and then see which one would actually be applicable to what you're researching. Adaptability. I learned the adaptability skill in PBE as well. And adapting involves many steps, including changing your own beliefs and outlook. So again, like if you something that you had this belief, and then all of a sudden you see something, you learn something, and then you have to change that. As sometimes changing your belief, changing your outlook is actually quite confronting for some people, and takes a while for them to learn to adapt to that. And then adaptive communication, it's not just communication, but adaptive communication. I learned that from a lot of my speaking subjects, is to be able to say what you think and to listen to what people think. Because again, communicating is not just about you talking, but it's also to listen what the other people are saying. And collaboration. So collaboration is a very valuable skill if you enter employment here, because working together is not hard, but to collaborate requires good communication skills. Working together, you can just work together in one room. They're doing individual things, but to collaborate is something else, because you actually try to aim for something that you work on together. And then the next one is independence. when I was at PBE, I learned how to work independently because previously, I don't know how to work independently. But especially when I was doing a lot of the research subjects, and the writing subject, that helped me a lot to work independently and feel more motivated. And then again, this is the last stop. You write your own story. It's up to you how you want to do it. If it's up to you, this was my story, and it should end with your own story. So that's it from me. I don't know what's going next. Is it question or is it going to be Wisnu?
It's going to be Wisnu first,
Okay,
and then we're
okay.
going to the Q&A. All right, thank you so
Right.
much, Mas Leo. Everyone, please give a round of virtual applause to Mas Leo. Thank you so much. Very enlightening, right? So before we go to the question and answer session, we will listen to what Mas Wisnu is going to say related to his experience as the alumni of PBE and his current activity at this moment. But allow me to share a little bit about who Wisnu Pradana is. So he's a doctoral candidate and a graduate teaching assistant at Mary Frances Early College of Education in University of Georgia. So he has worked for higher education institutions and government agencies in Indonesia, in Australia, in Vietnam, and also in the United States, mainly as the language instructor and program developer. He's currently, he's a grantee of the Fulbright Scholarship from 2017 until 19, and an awardee of Language Assistant Program by the Department of Education of Western Australia from 2014 until 15, an unsung hero of the University of Georgia in 2021, and the winner of Saida Pir Mohammed Award in 2022. So he's going to give you some insights about his current activities and what we can do, or what you can do later when you graduate from PBE. So Mas Wisnu, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, the screen is yours. Thank you.
All right. Let me just share my screen first. Is there anyone who needs accommodation or no? I think no, yeah, because I don't get any information about students with disability. Anyway, so can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, so
First of all, thank you so much, Ibu, for the warm welcome and introduction. And good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well wherever you are. I know that you are still doing virtually, even on campus right now. So first of all, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm delivering this speech or this presentation from the indigenous land of the Creek, also known as the Muskogee and Cherokee, also known as the Kitowa. They are the original stewards of the land where the University of Georgia is sitting on. And as a community member, learner, and educator that is currently studying at the University of Georgia, I am committed to acknowledging the history of and the present day violence perpetrated against this community. Anyway, I guess everyone already know me a little bit. My name is Wisnu. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am from cohort 2009, and I graduated back in 2013. So it's almost 10 years ago. Yeah, almost 10 years ago. So today there are a few things that I want to share with y'all. First of all, let me just check my time because I want to be. Hang on a sec. Alrighty, should be stopwatch. Okay, so there are a few things that I want to share with you all today. There are actually many things. When I was brainstorming these presentations, I discussed with Mas Leos as well. But then, I came up with these three things. It was change of plan, and I need to cram everything into like 20 to 23 minutes. So the first one is I'm gonna share with you the joy of being 20. I turned 30 last year, and I figured many of you are entering the age of 20. Most of you probably are 8. I was brainstorming this presentation. I was thinking like, why don't I share something, that I wish I had known before? Because no one really told me about how it's like of being 20 and how important it is, this phase of life for our development moving forward. And then I'm going to share with you living and working abroad. What can you do with your Sarjana Pendidikan degree? What I'm doing now and now what I used to do before. And lastly, time management. This is one of the things that I believe everyone knows what time management is, but not really are doing that. So I'm going to share with you how I manage my time as a PhD student and graduate teaching assistant. All right. Now, before we move on, let's just do something first, okay? I have a question, and I believe that everyone has access to the chat box on Zoom. And I want you to type your response on this chat box, okay? It's a very simple question. Let me see. All right. The question is, what do you hope to achieve or become by the time you graduate from PBI? It can be anything. It can be anything. It can be from academic side. It can be from personal side. So for example, oh nanti kalau misalnya aku mau lulus, aku pengen at least my GPA is 3,8. That's your wish. Okay, that's your hope. Ada lagi juga misalnya, oh I hope nanti besides teaching, I would be able to do something else, which is playing a musical instrument. For example, piano or guitar. So feel free to type anything. I give you time, probably 30 seconds, so that you are thinking now. All right.
Thinking very hard. Okay, guys, please write down your answers.
Yeah.
There's no right and wrong here, right? Mas Wisnu, it's just
no, there's no right or wrong.
purely responses.
Yes, yes, yes. And I know that it is a tricky question because that was also a tricky question for me back then.
It's a mysterious question.
I know, yeah. Anything. Being a professional in teaching, I love that. What else? Getting a promising job. You will tell me, okay? I tell you, you'll have a promising job. Being a lecturer, wow. Can speak English fluently, so I can mabar, main bersama ya, with my friends from other countries. Yes, yes, I know that you're a gamer probably. Anything else? Well-educated lecturer, yes. As a lecturer, I tell you, you know, when you become an educator, your one commitment is to be a as a learner, you know, a lifetime learner. So you cannot be you cannot stop studying when you are committed of being a teacher. That's one thing that you have to know. Publish a novel. I love that. Buat tempat belajar usaha in zero waste site. Beautiful. I love that thinking of, you know, reading. Fluent in English, so I can travel abroad. You will. Once you're graduating from BB, definitely you will be able to speak in English. All right. That's some great answers. Thank you so much, everyone, for answering the question and sharing what you hope after you graduated from PBI. Pertama-tama ya, I want to let you know the age of 20 itu keren banget. The phase of life that you are about to enter itu marvelous, and you have to use that opportunity of being 20 really well. I don't mean to give you pressure. Because I know that many of you are still looking for, you know, your purpose in life. Saya yakin banget probably some of you are still wondering whether being a teacher is really your call, because that's what I had, what happened to me back then. And it is okay, and it is normal, because, you know, that phase of life itu menurut research adalah masih dalam area di mana kalian, you know, finding your own identity, what you want, and something like that. Therefore, you use this opportunity well to really explore. Okay. Now, there are a few reasons why being a 20 itu marvelous. Not only because you make up the biggest population in Indonesia. Okay, jadi menurut Indonesia National Census in 2020, you guys make up the largest population, you know, like 27.94%. If the total number of Indonesian citizens, ya, di Indonesia itu sekitar 270 juta, it means that there are 75 juta anak Gen Z. Kalian ini yang suka bucin. This is a lot, yeah. This is a lot compared to many countries in the world, guys. Okay, such as the U.S., Japan, and all countries in the Europe. You name all countries in the Europe, even Australia, di benua Australia. I don't think they have a lot Gen Z saat ini. So this is a bonus for Indonesia. Buat negara kita ya, you guys really can rule the world. just having like 75 million people. That's a lot untuk sebuah country. Second one, 20s itu is a defining decade of adulthood. Jadi menurut McJ adalah seorang clinical psychologist and associate professor at the University of Virginia. She said that 80% of life's most defining moments itu take place by about the age of 35. Okay, climbing your 20s is one of the most simplest yet most transformative thing you can do for work, love, happiness, and world. Think about it carefully ya. Selama umur 20 tahun itu, you would definitely graduate from college, from PBI. And then some of you might probably think about getting married. Many of my friends are getting married, and even they have children before they are turning 30. Okay. Kemudian juga you probably have your own first job in the 20s. Biologically juga you changed a lot. Okay. Karena menurut research juga female fertility itu peak di umur sekitar 20 tahunan. Kemudian between the age of 12 sampai 25 tahun, the brain your brain itu changes its structure. There are more synapses yang lebih berhubungan, which is great for thinking. Jadi there are so many things happening socially, professionally, academically, dan juga biologically kalian. So 20s are really defining. Okay. There are a few suggestions that McJ ini di bukunya dia tuh kasih ke kalian. Okay. Some of them adalah these three things, and I add some of the suggestion based on my experience. The first one is expanding your horizons and cultivate your network. Dia mention this concept, it's called weak ties. Okay, jadi weak ties adalah people that you don't really know, but for some reason you are connected. For example, you and me. We don't really know, all right? I believe this is our first time meeting each other. You know me because you attended this session. I probably don't know you, okay? Unless you ask me a question later on. But so we have this weak ties relationship, okay? And according to weak ties McJ, a weak ties relationship ini adalah relationship di mana lots of job opportunities, good things happening. Okay, justru bukan strong tie relationship, justru karena weak tie relationship yang kita nggak begitu tahu, but for some reason we have the same, background. Okay, jangan malu untuk bertanya dan juga minta tolong, but of course you need to also respect people's boundaries. Kalau misalnya nggak mau ya nggak usah dipaksa. So as much as possible, during this period of your life, you build bridges, jembatan-jembatan that connect you with other people and cultivate that relationship, not just, like, hey, introduce and then you go. No, it is important for you to also cultivate the relationship. I tell you the truth, ya, seenggak nyaman-nyamannya aku dengan engage dengan new people at a conference, for example, I still try myself untuk yang namanya talk to new people and then, exchange emails and everything, business card, so that we have this, weak ties relationship, because we never know, how our future will turn up later. Second one, know who you are and what you love to do. This phase of life is the time for you to explore yourself. I am very lucky because when I did my undergrad, I already had the feeling that I want to work in the academia. There was actually one time, I was thinking, probably I'm just going to work in the hospitality industry. But it turns out that my, the academic call is bigger to me. Jadi the reason of why I'm pursuing my PhD before 20 is also because, I already know that I want to build a career in academia. Why should I wait, And then so while you are in the first and also second year of PBI, I really encourage you guys to explore yourself personally, socially, and professionally. Menjadi bucin, it's okay, but don't forget that that's not why you are here, okay? You are here to be a better version of yourself. There are a few areas yang I encourage teman-teman to develop while you are doing your study at PBI. They are academic, career, social engagement, and well-being. 4 areas ini yang I always notice in many university programs, including the programs that I developed for the university. So we have to somehow, bridge the students into these 4 areas. including also some scholarship requirements. Because I was also had an opportunity of being one of the interviewees, and one of the criteria was also these 4 areas. So the first area is, for example, academic. Dalam hal academic, you should invest in the classroom. You know, you really attend the classroom, you do the assignments well, and be honest. That's important. Don't cheat. Okay, and then start developing your career from now. Okay, since you are in the faculty of education, then do some tutoring atau writing. I did that when I was semester berapa saya lupa. I already begin tutoring, teaching actually at Lembaga Bahasa Sanata Dharma. And then nextly, a social engagement, participate in some volunteering activity, projects, off campus, on campus, anything. Doesn't have to be related to your teaching, but it's it's something that you have that you do for the society. And the last one is invest in your well-being. Find something that you like, that you love to do sport, and learn how to do it well. I know that Mas Leo loves cycling. I love going to the gym. So that's what we do, besides being a student, being a teacher, and stuff like that. So find this, the balance between these 4 areas. It will be great for you. Okay. All right. No. All right. The last one is be adaptive. This is actually one thing that I noticed Mas Leo also shared, right? I think he mentioned repeatedly about being adaptive, and true. I also experienced, I noticed that being adaptive is very important. I'm gonna borrow Bulani's words, Bulani Agawati words. I don't know whether you guys know her or not. She is a legend. Dulu di tempat saya. She was teaching a course called SPD, Service Program Design, and I was the president for the class at that time. And in one of the meetings, she said, "Everything can go wrong." Okay, so be prepared, and that is so true. I can't agree more. Yeah. Whatever you plan now can go wrong in the future. Okay, whatever you wrote yang tadi itu, oh ya saya pengen A, B, C, D, probably will change. Okay, and what you need to do is actually be adaptive to that changes. Okay, we never know how the future will turn out. I believe everyone learned well from the case of pandemic. Yeah. Tahun 2019-2020, even now still in the pandemic somehow, but we learned so well dari pandemic itu bahwa anything that we plan can go wrong. Dalam kasus saya misalnya, karena saya juga back in 2019 and 20, I was like helping the university of developing program and also managing some programs. We need to change everything, including the objectives of the programs, kemudian modality of the programs, topiknya apa aja. If we don't change, then the programs won't benefit anyone. So be adaptive terhadap konteks-konteks yang ada. That's important. Okay. All right. Enough about the marvelous of being 20. Now let's move on to living and working abroad. Teman-teman tadi mungkin udah dengar ya sedikit pretty much professionally background saya. So these are a few places where I had spent my 20s. So I had worked in a couple of different institutions in a few different countries, doing multiple roles, not only teaching ya, tapi juga yang di back office. Misalnya kayak di sini, saya nggak teaching sama sekali. I was actually working at the international office. So my job was really about helping the university build collaboration with other universities, and then looking at their curriculum, matching their curriculum, because we want to develop some, double degree program, master pathways, student exchange, and so we have to be able to see which lessons are somehow intersecting. Jadi bisa ada credit transfernya. Okay. Currently, I'm at the University of Georgia. I'm a PhD candidate and also a graduate teaching assistant. I don't know whether you guys are familiar with the term assistantship. Jadi assistantship ini, it's different from fellowship, it's different from scholarship. In short, assistantship itu you work while you are studying. Okay, so you are working for the university where you are studying. And I'm very lucky at since I started my PhD, I was already assigned a course, to teach. The courses are actually pretty similar to the courses in PBI. So I was teaching a course untuk teaching methods, kemudian also curriculum development, and both of them are for teaching certification. So any teachers, language teachers, they have to take my course first in order to be able to teach. Kemudian, besides being a teaching assistant, I'm also a graduate assistant. So I'm working in a few different departments because my goal is I want to know the holistic system of a university, like how a university works. So I work at the International Student Life, basically handling or dealing with international students. So I'm helping them with developing some programs for international students. If by any chance in the future, you will be able to go to the University of Georgia, I hope you would still be able to enjoy some of my programs because now it's still running. And then saya juga pernah di academic enhancement, which is under the Office of Instruction. I don't know, I think it's WR2 atau WR3 di Sanata Dharma. And then currently I'm at the graduate school, so I'm helping them with the fall and spring programming for graduate students, the upcoming program. And I'm also helping them with the orientation. Okay, so from the 3 principles that I mentioned earlier, yang tadi ada expanding your horizons, know who you are, and be adaptive. Similar to Mas Leo, I want to highlight one, which is being adaptive. Karena menurut saya being adaptive is very important. Teman-teman pasti tahu ya, di setiap negara, di setiap sekolah, di setiap departemen, itu they have their own work culture. Gitu. Jangankan di setiap negara ya, even saya pindah dari departemen satu ke departemen lain in the same university, they have their own work culture. I remember when I was working in Vietnam, first day I was actually the person helped me showed around the university, and they showed me this room, lots of twin beds. Jadi bentuknya tuh kayak ruang panjang, ada banyak bed kecil, mirip kayak penampungan korban Merapi zaman dulu gitu. I was wondering what's happening, why do you guys have these lots of beds? It turns out that teachers, lecturers are actually okay to take a nap. So they have a room for you guys to take a nap in Vietnam, which is something yang menurut saya very unusual. I've never seen that back in Indonesia or even in Australia, but it is okay in Vietnam to actually take a nap. And I'm very, amazed with their skill of taking a nap and then getting up early. Here in the US, people in the workforce, they don't really micromanage you. Jadi jangan berharap untuk bertemu dengan atasan yang bakalan ngecekin kalian setiap hari. What are you doing this now? No, okay. As long as you hit the target. So we have goals, we have targets, we have indicators dan segala macam. As long as you hit all the targets, you are good, okay. And this is one thing that I also learn cukup tidak mudah untuk learn itu gitu. Karena misalnya in Indonesia we love being seen, come on, what are you doing? Share with me, blah blah blah. We're being micromanaged, okay? But here, no, you as long as you have that target and then you hit that target, that's good, okay? That's the first one. Second one, I also want to encourage you to optimize your background. So you are made of many things, guys. You made of, you have different cultural background. You have linguistic background. You have socioeconomic background, academic background, everything. All of them make who you are as a human being, and that make you unique. It's your responsibility to optimize them to support you. And the people here in the US really appreciate what you bring to the table. Gitu. Jadi expressing your ideas, expressing your concerns, expressing your critiques, everything. They really love that. Gitu. When I was developing programs, for example, the first thing that I do is to ask myself, how do I feel as an international student? Because I'm an international student, I'm a person of color. How do I feel as international students? Do I feel supported here? If not, like how can I do, to help me or help others feel supported. And then after that, I talk to people. Okay, I talk to my friends. I call my friends. Okay, tell me, what are you feeling now? You feel okay? Blah blah blah. What can we do moving forward? Itu semua pekerjaan-pekerjaan saya kayak mengajar, bikin program, kurikulum mapping dan segala macam. Sedikit banyak itu skillnya di develop when I was in PBI. Jadi ada salah satu course yang very important buat saya ya. I didn't think it that way when I was in PBI, but now when I reflect, I admit that this course is very important. Course-nya adalah KPI 365. I don't know whether you guys are still using the same course code or no, but the name is Instructional Design. So in this course, you basically will learn how to develop needs analysis, learning materials, assessment, and evaluations. Tadi yang kalau misalnya teman-teman dengar carefully ya, saya bilang, oh ya, I ask myself, how do I feel as international students? Do I feel supported or not? And then I talk to my friends, blah, 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 blah. That's actually needs analysis. All right. So it's from teaching, and then I transform that into other things, which is for program development, which probably it's not something about teaching anymore. Karena program-program saya ada yang berhubungan dengan language, ada yang berhubungan dengan well-being, dan segala macam. But I always begin from needs analysis. I remember I think it was Pak Pras, lecturer saya waktu itu. So we basically need to develop this, I don't know, like lesson plan. You have this SKKD, and then you develop objectivesnya apa, indicatorsnya apa, dan segala macam. I didn't like that subject, but itu mark di memory saya very well. But I'm doing I was doing my assignments really well. Jadi saya masih ingat gitu. Oh, okay. In order to be able to, like compose good indicators, you need to see what are the objectives. Itu harus align semuanya. It's good for me to see to have the logics in pedagogy, karena teaching itu juga logic gitu loh. It's feeling juga, tapi juga logic. You need to see logika dari mengajar itu seperti apa. Dan saya knew myself that ini ada di course ini. Okay. Nah, of course ini bukan salah satunya ya. All the courses feel also supported. Tapi dari course ini dan course yang lain that I took during my study in PBI, it brought me to these places. Jadi saya ngerti ya namanya how to develop a curriculum, syllabus. I do curriculum mapping, curriculum evaluation, dan segala macam. And I feel very thankful for those courses. Lastly, time management. Again, so many friends of mine, also colleagues, ask, how do you manage your time as a PhD student? Karena you have to take courses, you do also research, you also need to teach, grade, prepare materials and everything. So this is how I manage my time. I'm a very visual person. So I love color and I love, seeing any pictures. So I always begin by objectives, like what do you want to achieve within, this week or even per day? What do you want to achieve today? And then what do you want to achieve this week? What do you want to achieve this month? What do you want to achieve this semester? And then you begin breaking it down into small pieces, basically steps on how you achieve those dreams. So for example, this month, my goal is to submit a proposal to this conference, which is called American Education Research Association, which is the biggest research association for education. So they have this call for proposal, okay? And I have to submit like 2,000 words to that conference in order to be presenting. So I need to begin, charting up some plans. What am I gonna do in order to be able to write a proposal? What am I gonna do? Okay, so I need to first see the call first. Nah, temanya apa sih? And then I begin understanding the call. Karena call-nya even untuk tahun ini very abstract. They ask us to, evaluate or investigate what do we mean by truth. Kebenaran itu apa gitu from our research field. Okay, so understanding the field, understanding the call first, and then begin with, okay, I'm gonna check my passwords. Who knows that my passwords itu ada yang berhubungan dengan truth atau segala macamnya. And then I begin lagi, all right, begin let review, and then I begin at drafting, and I plan that well, the same. I suggest you guys also do the same thing. You have this block of time, and then you try to block of time, block the time. Kapan harus yang namanya olahraga misalnya. Misalnya kalau misalnya lihat di sini tuh saya dari jam 6 sampai jam 7:30 itu olahraga pasti. Kemudian nanti ada apa lagi? Oh, I develop this proposal, and then Tuesday you see I'm working here. And I don't do anything. And after that, I'm going to do something else. So that's how you plan. That's how I plan my day. The thing is, you need to map your time. Okay, barriers itu pasti ada, entah mental block, entah urusan cinta, urusan keluarga. The thing is, you need to allocate the time untuk rencana-rencanamu, untuk mimpi-mimpimu. Apalagi you guys haven't married yet, you're single. Barriers akan lebih sedikit daripada orang yang sudah berkeluarga. I learned one thing about time. Time itu it's like an arus. Dia jalan terus. Nah, kalian tuh you don't just stay still. You need to swim, bro. Atur strategi kalian untuk bisa sampai di ujung. Kalau kalian punya boat nih kayak gini, perahu, which I will say it's like a privilege. Pakai boat itu untuk yang namanya benefit yourself and also others. Everyone itu, believe it or not, has privilege. Yeah? If you are born as a man, you have a privilege. If you don't have any disability, you have a privilege. If you can speak more than one language, you have a privilege. So everyone has a privilege. Okay, there's no reason for you to stay still and then let the flow goes. Your journey will not be straight. Okay, it will be curvy. Berkelok-kelok, but you always have options to go to your destinations. And remember one thing, this is your own journey. So you don't have to look at someone else's journey. You don't have to look at mine's journey. You don't have to look at Mas Leo's journey to know whether your journey is good or not. You will know your own call later on. Kalau kata Bulani, you live your own life, you die your own death. Okay, serem banget kedengarannya, tapi you are responsible for your own life. So you have to design that. Take control of your own journey. You work your way up slowly but surely, and see you on top, I hope. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mas Misnu. Let's give a round of virtual applause to Mas Visnu. Thank you so much. So I guess both of you have the same idea and concept related to work life or academic life. It's more the adaptability towards whatever that is happening in front of you. So I guess this is one of the things that a lot of the students here who are currently struggling to pass the undergraduate level. So that the first thing they have to do is to be adaptable with anything, any struggles, any challenges that you can have or what you will face from the lectures, from the assignments. Just go for it, right? Just drive through it with whatever that you have, okay? Now, so guys, this is where we will do the question and answer session. So does any one of you here want to ask a question to Mas Leo or Mas Wisnu verbally? If so, then you can use your raise hand icon, or if you're shy or if your microphone is not working properly, then you can type your question in the chat box. And please refer to whoever that you would like to ask this question to. Okay, anyone would like to ask the question? Everyone is so silent. They're in the praying mode. Anyone? No one is. Oh, okay. Andu, Johannes Andu. Please unmute your microphone.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. You're still muted. Undo.
Am I audible now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Andu, and I'm from batch 2021. And I want to ask Mas Wisnu about studying abroad. So first of all, uh, I'm from village, and my world is really small because I'm from a village, and I have a dream to make my world broader by studying abroad. But I am the youngest child in my family, and I have the duty to take care of my parents because both of my siblings are live their own lives outside the field. They have their own life because I left behind in the family, so I have to take care of my parents. But I have a dream to study abroad. That means that I have to leave my parents. uh, Actually, I'm a little bit confused, and sometimes I tell myself, you don't even graduate from you don't even graduate yet, but you think that way. But I don't know, it still haunts me every time I think about my dreams that I want to study abroad, but I have to leave my parents. So uh so my question is, which one do I have to prioritize, or what is the best thing I should do about this? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Andu, for the question. Probably this question can also be referred to Mas Leo. Is that okay, Andu? Because
Yes.
I think both
Yes.
of them have the same experience in that. So
Yes.
please, Mas Vishnu and then Mas Leo, please give your responses.
Thank you, Andu, for the questions. Yeah, we just established our weak ties now. Now I know you. Let me just rephrase your question. So you want to study abroad, you're a youngest child, and somehow you are confused whether, can I actually go abroad to study abroad while at the same time you feel that you are responsible for taking care of your family, which is your parents. Like which one do you want to, which one do you have to take? I'm also the youngest child of my family. Uh, it was also difficult for me to communicate my like my dream to my parents back then. Uh, but fortunately, my parents were very supportive. I think it's really the game come back to whether I believe all parents will support their children, and it's the happiness of their children is the happiness of their parents. So what I again, I don't know your situation, but what I did was like I communicated my dreams to my parents. Like my parents knew very well that I love being in the academia. They are the first people that supported me of pursuing my PhD. Although some of my brothers, because most of my brothers are doing business and they are in the industry, I'm actually none of my family is actually a teacher. So I'm the first gen of a teacher, in my family. But my parents know that I find joy here, being in academia. So I communicate with them, like I talk to them. This is my dream, like I want to do blah 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 blah. What do you think? Do you have any suggestions? What are some concerns and everything? I tell you the truth, yeah. I went abroad. I didn't ask any money from my from my parents. So I borrowed some money. That was the first time I went to Australia. I actually borrowed some money from my relatives, not my parents, because I don't want to my parents to like help me financially. So I borrowed some money, and then the salary that I got after, I paid for my loan basically. So I don't, yeah. How should I say? But yeah, please communicate to your parents. I'm sorry, probably this answer is not a perfect answer because again, you are the best person that knows, you know, which way that you have to take. You grow up with your parents, you know your parents very well. But in my case, I communicated with my parents really well, and I really suggested with everyone also. I know that umur-umur sekarang kita mungkin masih yang, oh yeah, this is my independence, let's go, blah 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 blah. Take time to also take care of your parents. I, until this very moment, even though I'm living abroad, I still have some time for my parents. You know, like I call them every now and then. Every week, I must have a time for them, basically to establish that bonding and also communicate. Because yeah, doa dari orang tua itu segalanya, and they will definitely support as long as it is a good cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Mas Wisnu.
Thank you so much, Mas Wisnu.
Mas Leo?
Well, thank you, Andrew. That is a very good question. And in all honesty, I am also from a village, and I don't really like. I'm not coming from a rich family, not privileged financially. But yes, I did manage to do this because, again, as what Mas Vishnu has already said, it's all about communication. Like to communicate what you actually want to communicate. And it's definitely not easy, especially in my family. I come from a Japanese family that communication it's hard because it's not what we are used to. But the thing is, if you're starting bit by bit, it's actually eventually you'll be able to communicate what you actually want to experience. And yes, it is a bit of pickle when you're the last one to leave the family. Well, I'm not. It's like I'm the first one to leave the family, but also I still have that emotional baggage when I left the family. And then obviously my mom and dad, when I left Jogja for the first time to go overseas, they cried. I cried. I was happy, but also I cried because like this is actually the first time that I live overseas, and I only did that when I was 24. So like before that, I never actually lived away from family. But you know what? This like with the determination, it's like I really want to experience this. A master's degree would in the UK would only be just a year, and I'll come back again. And mom and dad, they knew that. So and it was probably harder when I actually told them, oh yeah, I got a job in Australia, that I'd be moving there. But they also at the same time, they actually have made this sort of they've accepted the fact that yes, this is actually for my future, this is my career. I'm not going to forget them. And then they know that because again, as Vishnu already said, like I still keep in touch with them. I still call them almost every week. And then when I couldn't go home for over 3 years, it broke my heart. And then I kept telling them that I really want to go home when I can, because I miss a lot of the events within the family. And then when I got home, like I really just wanted to spend time with family. And as I mentioned before, it's hard, but and then it's you're in your 20s and it's time when you really want to figure out what you really want to do with your future. And if you really want to go overseas, there's so many opportunities right now. It doesn't have to be, for example, going overseas for a PhD or for a master's degree. You can start with something small and then see whether you actually like it or not, whether that life is for you or not. An exchange program for 2 weeks, for example, that's a good start there. Or even just not even going overseas, just an exchange program to going somewhere for 2 weeks. That's actually a good start, whether you really want that life or not. Yeah. Again, it's about you committing with your family, but it's also about starting small. Don't straight away go into like, all right, I want to do a pitch. I want to permanently move overseas, because you will never know. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, again, be adaptable.
Okay, thank you,
so
Mas
much.
Leo. Does that answer your question, Andu?
Yes, Miss. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Andu, for the question. And yeah, I think the hardest part is taking the first step, right? Breaking the boundaries of fear and uncertainties. I think those are the two things that we have to break down so that, just think something positive and be, how should I say, be confident with what you have. I think you can already see from Mas Wisnu and Mas Leo in that they broke the boundaries of being fearful of what's coming ahead, but they try no matter what. Okay. So I wish you the best of luck, Andu. I do hope that you will follow their leads or probably go somewhere else outside Indonesia and just be yourself and be happy. Okay. All right. Thank you, Andu. Now, there are two questions from Burina, actually, from the chat box. So Mas Wisnu and Mas Leo can take a look at the questions. There are questions here.
Well,
Yeah.
Bhumita,
Burina.
if there are some students who want to ask questions, I don't mind if my questions are not answered. That's okay.
Okay.
Let's give the opportunity to the students, if any.
All right. Okay, so let's just keep these two questions first. Is there anyone else out there who would like to ask the question to Mas Leo and Mas Wisnu? Anyone? Or should I choose Burina?
I don't know. It's up to you. I will be glad if my questions are answered.
Yeah, but we're waiting for the students to have a question here. Then why don't we go to your questions? I think these two questions are very, very important questions that the students will be very happy to hear from the two speakers. Okay. All right, so there are two questions, Mas Leo and Mas Wisnu. The first one is, when selecting a job overseas, how can we ensure ourselves if that's the right job for us? Okay. And the second question is, do you have any plans on coming back to Indonesia and work in Indonesia after a number of years living abroad? So those are the two questions. Who would like to start answering the questions? Mas Wisnu or Mas Leo first?
I can probably start first.
Okay, all right.
Yep. Okay, so the first question is, yeah, you will never know whether the job is right or not when you're actually applying, and that's normal, because when we're applying for a job anywhere, even in Indonesia, like, yes, you know what the roles are, but you probably wouldn't know much what it's like to be working with the people that you're working with, because that actually makes the difference. It's not just about the role, what you're doing. It's not just about the responsibility that you're doing, but also, like, I can't think of any job that doesn't require you to talk to anyone. So, and then the part, the communication part, the collaboration part is actually the one that makes the difference. And if you don't know whether that's the right job or not, I mean, if you really want to try, give it a go. If you're not sure, but you still want it, just try it. But if you really know that, yeah, probably it's not for me, yeah, don't bother wasting your time. But again, like, you'll never know whether that's the right job or not. And you will know when you're actually there. In my experience, the reason why I've stayed in one employer for 5 years is because the community itself, like my colleagues, they were all very supportive. Yeah, the students, some of them are naughty, some of them like make me want to quit my job, but also at the same time, it's like, the end of the day, it's about the community that's supporting you. So you will never know until you try it. That's a thing. And then even overseas, for example, sometimes I actually do feel like, actually, do I really want to try something else? I probably do. Like, I've been looking for some other things other than teaching. Also, I've been looking into, should I do PhD? I probably won't, because I just probably don't want to do that right now. But yeah, if you think that's not right, then move on. That's probably one thing that I'd say. And then have I ever thought coming back to Indonesia and after working a couple of years abroad? Yeah, there's a possibility that I'll do that. Again, like Indonesia is still home, really. So like coming home is always nice. Coming home always has that nice feeling when you just step into one of the airports. And because in all honesty, when teaching Indonesian, I always I will act as what is it? Like an influencer, influencing the younger generations in Australia about Indonesia, about that Indonesia is such a great country, not because like it's there are a lot of things that make Indonesia great, including what Mas Wisnu already said about that they have the manpower. Indonesia has a lot of Gen Z, and then that these Gen Z is actually the one that's gonna build the country to be even better. And then I really want to be part of that too. I really want to be part of like making Indonesia even better place to live and in any way. So yes, there's possibility for me to go back to Indonesia. And the reason is because I still really want to be part of home. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, thank you, Mas Leo. Mas Wisnu?
I think the first question is very apa ya, philosophical juga. What do you mean by right? Right job can mean many things. Can be financially right, can be psychologically right, can be whether the job is really something that that is really your call or not. But I assume it will be about something whether you feel right or not. I agree with Mas Leo. Yeah, you will only know whether this is the job that is meant for you when you are actually doing that. I think the opportunity to do internship. Kalau misalnya I'm talking to younger PBI ya, to do internship, to do jobs, any jobs while you are studying at PBI, itu really helpful to know whether okay, is this my field or no? Is teaching is your field, or probably writing, or probably in the hotel? Because I know many of my friends are actually working in the hotel industry, and I'm really proud of them. But first of all, to know what's your call itu sendiri itu would really determine whether the job that you are applying is going to be right for you or not. It's really personal. Being right, it is really personal. Of course, community is important. I won't be able to survive here if I don't have a great community of students, lecturers, dan segala macamnya. That's one consideration. But also to ask yourself, like whether being abroad is something that you really want to do, and you don't know whether it's going to be it's right or not unless you are doing that. Karena again, kata Mas Leo juga, it's not being abroad, it's not for everyone. I've seen many Indonesian people are also not being happy abroad, and they really want to be back home, which is very understandable. I miss Indonesia so much as well. I miss soto ayam, I miss bakso dap supri, I miss somai sinchan. But at the end of the day, this is where I am. I need to deal with that, and it's not easy. Juga being in abroad. I think that's my answer for that. And the second question is, have you ever thought of coming back to Indonesia? Of course, yeah. Of course, Indonesia again is my hope. And I'm also not a type of person who is bounded to a certain geography. Like I'm not a person like, okay, I have to work here, I have to live here. No. Really depends on the opportunity. Kayak air aja gitu. Where the opportunity goes, I'll go there.
Go with the flow. Probably so. All right, thank you so much, Mas Wisnu and Mas Leo. There's one more student who asked the question in the chat box is she has two questions. The first one, and this will be the last session for the Q&A because we still have the door prize part there. So the first question is, have you ever failed applying? Okay, and how do you keep motivating yourself to try if you failed in one of the applications? And then what was the challenge, the first challenge that you experienced when you were doing the jobs that were given to you? So it's a very good question, I think. All right, who would like to start?
Can I start?
Yes, please.
All right. For the love of God, I really, really love this question. I mean, all the questions I like, but this one, talking about failure, is my favorite. Kenapa? Because I know that many of us, like love to talk about success story, but we never really talked about history of failures, about who supported us along the journey. And I'm glad to call that many of the people yang support me along the journey itu ada di screen ini. Ada Bu Mita, ada Bu Heni, ada Bu Tri, dan segala macam ya. They all supported me untuk ada di posisi ini. Failure, talking about failure, there's a lot. My failures are a lot. Bu Mita is one of the saksi mata mungkin ya. She was actually one of the people that always give me letter of recommendations untuk scholarship, untuk opportunity of study abroad. So she knew really well about success and story and also failures of mine. Dan saya sebenarnya senang banget berbicara soal failure ini, gitu. Karena yeah, that's one thing that we never really talked about. Why don't we talk about failure? Why we only talked about success, as if life is always about success. But here's one thing, yeah. This is my mindset. And every now and then I got rejections. Even a few months ago, saya dapat rejections juga when I was about to apply for an internship di sebuah center, and I got rejected. And I knew why. And I've tried that 3 times, the same place 3 times. Saya coba. Jadi selama 3 tahun saya nyoba di tempat yang sama, and I got rejected miserably. But I'm proud of that. Karena apa? When I applied, saya sudah tahu bahwa there are 50% of chance I got accepted, there are 50% of chance I got rejected. Being rejected itu adalah expected outcome. So you already know that you will be rejected. By the time you apply, click hit, you know that there is a chance for you to get rejected. And there is also a time for you to get to be successful. So knowing that there is one thing, there are 2 chances, and one of them is being failed, itu pretty much juga membuat aku okay, why do I have to be sad about that? I already know that. I know that I will be failed, but there is also a chance for me to be successful. Kalau alhamdulillah dapat ya, that's good. It's my rezeki. Tapi enggak, well, do it another time or find another opportunity. This is a story about teman saya. Karena every now and then I'm still helping my friends to get scholarship, to be accepted in the universities. He already tried, I don't know, multiple times, more than 5 times to be accepted for Fulbright, for master's degree. Saya sampai bilang sama dia, why don't you try other opportunities, bro? There are so many opportunities. There are LPDP, there are Chevening, there are so many things, opportunity, open doors untuk keluar negeri sekarang itu a lot more daripada zaman dulu saya. Tapi he's very persistent of, like applying for Fulbright. Although every now and then dia tuh receive rejections. Dan now dia tuh menjadi orang yang terbiasa banget dengan hal itu, gitu. And I'm so proud of him ya, dengan pengalaman kita untuk apply, and then got rejection, somehow itu make you stronger. So apply, first thing you have to do is to try to apply. Apapun itu, job, scholarship, atau apapun itu, because it's free, it doesn't kill you. You know that there is a 50% chance of you get rejected, jadi nggak usah terlalu diambil hati banget. Take it as something that you have to, learn. Apa ya kira-kira yang kurang? That's for my first question. Second question: what are the challenging things in the first time you start your teaching career? Food, because I didn't cook back then when I was in Australia, so I lost lots of weight. I was like a tulang belulang, gitu. But then slowly I learned how to cook and everything. So I think it's more personal. Untuk like work and everything. Fortunately, again, I've always had this like very supportive community wherever I am, in Australia, in Vietnam, and here in the US. They are very supportive to me. Jadi it's more about personal, you miss Indonesia, So it's yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mas Wisnu. Mas Leo?
Okay, I want to answer the second question first. I probably wouldn't say food though, because I know how to cook. But I was like a tulang belulang because I didn't have a car and I wasn't able to drive to work. So the first thing that was quite challenging was actually to adapt to the fact that you can't just buy a Supra X and then drive it to work on a highway where it's 110 kilometers an hour. So to adapt to the way of life in Australia was actually very hard, even though I just came from Scotland, where you would think that they both speak English, they would have similar culture, they have similar background, but no, they're totally different, and then they're totally different from Indonesia. And there are things that you can that you learn while you're working as well. Like, for example, when I started teaching, like I started, this is awesome, this is a great opportunity for me to do this and that. And then I really want to do this. I really want to apply what I learned in at uni, and I really want to do to develop this material, and then I want to apply this to my class. But the thing is, the people around you, they're complaining about their jobs, and that's actually one of the big things that I struggled to accept, that it's not always beds of roses. Like you will complain about your job no matter where you are. And at that time, I came with this positive energy, and then surrounded by people who has negative energy. And that was actually that was a weird sensation, because I want to be able to work positively, but also I don't want to sound like a douchebag. Like, I don't want to sound like, oh yeah, I'm always positive. No. So the thing is to know that, like, sometimes work can be hard. Sometimes it's okay to accept that, it's hard. So that was actually the first thing that I would say it would probably be the hardest thing when I started. And now I sort of accepted, work can be hard. And that's why you need to rest. That's why you need to take a day off sometimes. So it's okay to do that. So, and I learned that over 5 years. And then now I sort of, accepted the fact that no, it's not always about good things. There can be bad days, and you need to know yourself. You know when you want to take a break and so on. So, and then the first question: have I ever failed? Failure. So many times. Again, as what my Swiss already said, I came to Bumita a few times asking for a letter of recommendation, and one after the other, because I kept failing. When I applied for a uni in Scotland, when I applied for scholarship, I tried so many different ones, and at that time, well, right now it's probably, I've seen so many younger generations, they go overseas with scholarships. Back in the day, I didn't really have that many opportunities, and so there are only this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I had to research using my very slow internet, and I kept failing. and failing and over and over and over again. And it was heartbreaking at first, but then I got used to it. Like, I really want to do this. And this is not the only way, but like one of the ways that I know in order for me to get into university overseas. So I kept trying, and after, I don't know, maybe like 7-8 rejections, I got it. Yes, failures is part of my story, which I probably should have mentioned as well. But again, like, we rarely talk about failures. And even talking about applying for jobs, yeah, I got failures too. Like, I applied for different jobs. Well, I was lucky with this one because they managed to, like, I was one of the 3 applicants because it's in it's in regional Victoria, and it's actually not that easy to find an Indonesian teacher. So I was pretty lucky with that. But yeah, there are so many. So I'm applying. I've been applying for jobs in the past 3 months. I kind of want to try something else, but this something else other than teaching is actually hard to get because yes, I do have the transferable skills, but I don't have the educational background, for example. And like, yeah, I would again, as most listeners said, yes, I would expect that I want to do my best. I want to impress the employers, but I also expect that I'd probably fail. And if I fail, this is my plan. And I want to keep applying. I want to, and then this relates to the question that Ibu Rina asked about whether it's the right thing or not. Yes, teaching is the right thing for me, but I want to try something else and then see whether there's other right things. And again, like, once you find the right thing, sometimes there are other right things out there that you probably want to explore as well. So again, and in when doing that, there are failures, there are successes, there are failures, and you should definitely expect both of them. But it doesn't mean that you have to stop there. You just have to keep going, really. So that's it pretty much.
Okay, thank you, Mas Leo and Mas Vishnu. I guess, like, you have to be resilient, right? You have to be adaptable, but at the same time, you have to be resilient and keep focused on that end of the tunnel. What is it that you want? And go for it. But there are so many obstacles, but it doesn't mean that you should give up, right? So these 2 gentlemen here, the proof where giving up is not an option, but trying hard is everything that they do. They always try hard. But they are realistic at the same time, right? So you don't force yourself too much in achieving the goals, but you try hard. But if you don't get it, you be realistic. So again, let's give a virtual applause to the 2 presenters. Excellent answers, and I do hope that it will be a source of inspiration for everyone. Thank you, Micah, for the audio. All right, so last but not least, we still have one more thing to do, which is the door prize, right? As I mentioned earlier, the presenters will give one question to one of the participants. So Mas Vishnu and Mas Leo, you will get to give a question to one of the participants and feel free to choose one of them. So feel free. Who wants to go first, Mas Vishnu or Mas Leo? I guess you have a question already, right? So scroll up and down, take a look at the participants. And
So
if you're ready.
should we give the question first and then they will answer, or how are you going to?
It's up to you. I don't think, is the question difficult?
No, it should
Right,
be easy.
so
If they pay attention, they would know.
I think you can just, pick a person and then give the question.
Oh, okay, that's scary, but that's okay.
Let's try.
All right, let me see. I'm gonna scroll now and stop. Alrighty, it's gonna be. Phew. Okay, it's Angelica Ye.
Angelica Ye. Angelica, all right. Can you turn on your microphone? Angelica.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi.
Okay.
Alrighty. So Angelica, I mentioned 4 areas that I hope you guys will develop. Okay. Ada 4. Mention mention them.
Okay. I think it was academic, career, social engagement, and well-being.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yay! Good job, Angelica.
Correct.
Okay. So the committee will contact you as soon as possible. All right. For the door prize. Thank you, Angelica. Good job. So she's listening to every single word that you're saying. Okay. Now, Mas Leo, it's your turn.
You are muted, bro.
Still muted, Mas Leo.
All right, I was about to choose Putri, but no. Nah. Nah, nah. I'm gonna choose Harris.
Harris. Harris, are you here? Harris? Okay, he's not responding, so probably.
No, it's not responding, so I'm gonna change to someone else. Oh, I'm gonna choose the one with the cat. So which is Hatna Shanas.
Okay, Hatna. Hatna Shanas.
I'm unlucky.
Hatna. Another one, probably.
Another one. Okay.
On camera.
Okay, so I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna choose Verena Vidya.
Okay, Verena.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I mentioned something about when you're applying for a job, especially in the context of Australia, you will probably need to prepare a cover letter and a resume and something else. And what is that something else? And if a bonus point, if you know how to address it.
So for applying the job, other than cover letter and resume, you will need a platform, selection criteria, interview, and salary packaging. I think that's all for the answers.
Yes, you mentioned selection criteria. Well done. So yeah, again, that's one of the 3 things that you need to prepare.
Okay, thank you so much. Congratulations, Verena. Good job. All right, so Angelica and Verena, later on, the committee will contact you for further information, okay? All right, well, we are now at the end of the activity for today. So we've done the door prize, and then the exit ticket for week 1, which is for today, is already provided in the chat box. So please, everyone who are present here, the participants, click the exit ticket for week 1 so that you can get the e-certificate, okay? And Desi, can you show us again, share screen again, the Instagram information for this? Slide. The one with the Instagram. Yes. Okay. So thank you, Desi. So everyone, this is one thing that you can do if you want a 100K e-money top up and you want to use your Instagram account to share your ideas, your opinions, and your experience in joining the Upward Mobility in today's activity. Please do this. Share your experience, what you've learned, your reflection, make it as interesting as possible. And then don't forget to mention PBI Sanata Dharma and post it before 7 o'clock tonight, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, but tonight, okay? And we will choose 2 lucky winners. We'll see whether which one is interesting and which one is eligible to win this top up 100K, okay? All right, Burina, do you have anything to add before we end this session?
I don't think so, but it's a good idea if we can take a picture. Everybody can be on cam and then somebody takes a picture. Maybe one of you, Mary or Desi or Diva. Can one of you take a picture of us, please? And everybody, please turn on your cam.
Yeah. Everyone, you can turn on your camera and we'll take a picture. Who will be in charge? Is it Desi, Diva?
Me, Miss Diva.
Okay. All right, Diva.
Okay. I will take the picture. Okay. For the first slide, 3, 2, 1. Okay. For the second slide, 3, 2, 1. For the third slide, 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Diva. So everyone, this is the end of our Upward Mobility Week 1. Thank you once again for Mas Leo and Mas Vishnu. Mas Vishnu, you can sleep again after this probably, or go to the gym for a workout because I guess it's already 6 o'clock there. Is it? Yeah. Or almost 6 o'clock. And thank you, Mas Leo, for being here with us today from Down Under. So this is 2 different time zones, 3 different time zones, if I can say. Yeah. So once again, thank you so much. Thank you for
Bhumita, sorry.
Yes.
One more thing. The winners, the answerers of the questions, please contact me later because you need to tell me which one of the OFO or GoPay or Shopee Pay you want me to send you the 50K, okay?
Okay.
And also the Instagram competition will be announced later. I mean the winners.
Okay.
Will be
if
announced
you don't give
at the end
her
of
the
this
number,
day.
If you don't give her the number, I'll give my number to her. Okay.
I think they know my number because we are in the group, participant group. WhatsApp group.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Trina, for everything that you have done for Upward Mobility. And thank you for Desi, Diva, and Angelica. Who else was that? Angel, Diva, and Mary. Mary. Yes, thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend. Stay happy and stay healthy. And I wish you all the best. Thank you, Mas Vishnu. Thank you, Mas Leo, for joining us today and giving us inspiration. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aku hilang.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bhumita.
Thank you,
It's great to
Vishnu.
see
Thank
you
you,
again.
Leo. Yeah.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, Rina.
Thank you,
Thank you,
semuanya.
Bhumita. Have a great weekend.
Oh, okay.
Bye, Leo.
Bye.
Thank you.